Welcome back to the Hirewell Hot Corner, where sports and recruitment meet. I am your host, Dan Spatell, joined as always by my Iron Man co-host, Louie Marisi. Louie, great to see you again. Let's jump right in. What's going on in your world and the world of sports today?
Lots going on, obviously. Super Bowl coming up, big time of year. Everyone's always got big plans for it. I know the Chiefs and the 49ers, let's face it. You look at the teams that were left, those are going to sell the most tickets, the most advertising. You got Taylor Swift, you got a star-studded lineup with the 49ers. So, it's one of those things. Like it's exciting. I love it. These are the two teams I wanted to see meet. So that's got to be the biggest piece going on.
I think you're in the minority of people who wanted both of these teams in the Super Bowl this year, but my heart breaks for the Detroit Lions. They had a hell of a run with Dan Campbell this year to the NFC Championship. First time they've ever hosted multiple playoff games in their existence. Future's pretty bright for them, especially keeping Ben Johnson on the staff moving forward. I would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell. I know all of his players would, so they will be back. Trust me there. But 49ers, that roster speaks for itself. I mean, that felt inevitable. But the other side, people counted out the Chiefs this year for some reason. This is the best defense the Chiefs have ever had. And do you forget who their quarterback is? Patrick
Right.
Mahomes feels inevitable. And here
Right.
they are.
I mean, that's the mentality you feel with Mahomes is what I remember with Brady. Like at no point, unless the fourth quarter read 3 zeros on the clock, Tom Brady was in every game for like, you know what I mean? Like you weren't safe. And that's how it is with Patrick Mahomes. He brings that, like you saw, he did it in 13 seconds 2 years or last year or the year before against the Bills. Like he has that, like he's that good. And to do it without what you would consider like a star-studded wide receiver group. I mean, he has Travis Kelce, who is proving just how dominant he still is. Again, not to bring back Gronk or say he's better or the same, but he has that type of presence. So, to count them out at any point, you add Isaiah Pacheco in there, you add Rajee Rice, like he utilizes his weapons the way Brady did. They're not going to be the best on every other team, but he makes them what they are.
Absolutely. I know our friends over at Recruiting Reality will be very happy with the Taylor Swift Super Bowl that's about to
Absolutely.
commence. So shout out to them. I'm sure they're very happy about this. But moving on from the Super Bowl, we've got a little bit of the coaching carousel continuing to spin. I know both the Steelers and the Bears have kind of locked down their coordinators of the future. Bears kind of making an overhaul on both offense and defense, and the Steelers just bringing in a new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, fresh off his head coaching stint in Atlanta. I know a lot of Steelers fans aren't super happy about it. I think it was the smart decision. I think it was the safe decision. I feel like the Bears are a little bit of the opposite.
Yeah, I think the Bears definitely took, I'm gonna say risks, but not the most no-brainer choices. I mean, they brought in defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, wide receivers coach. Like we did a full-on overhaul. As a Bears fan who wants Justin Fields, I still don't know what that means. Like, it could mean that we keep him, it could mean we trade, but I mean, not to switch up the topic, but not letting people know what we're doing makes that pick more valuable at number one, even if we technically have our decision made up. So we plan on trading it and not letting the cat out of the bag early. It creates more value, more stir, and you know, I'm excited though as a Bears fan.
Sure. I think they're putting all the right pieces in place for Fields to have the best chance to succeed. The Steelers have kind of doubled down on their commitment to Kenny Pickett, so I'm hoping that he can have a full year without Matt Canada and actually see what he's made of. Otherwise, we might be dipping into one of your top picks in the future.
Right?
Hey, we're not here to talk about football despite the Super Bowl. Louie, let's go to your favorite sport. Let's talk about the NHL.
Yeah, I know that it's not something that we talk about too frequently, other than me talking about the Blackhawks woes. But NHL All-Star game coming up here in Toronto this coming week, going to be a star-studded event compared to really any other time. You got Will Arnett, pretty famous actor. Justin Bieber, not a huge fan, but let's face it, if we're talking about butts and seats, he does that. I think Tate McRae, up and coming pop sensation. They got a lot of stars coming out as part of, I think there's celebrity captains and are going to help draft the teams and all that. And they're really making this a really nice event. They're doing a Gretzky exhibit where they have a bunch of stuff from his basement, which had so many, trophies and accolades. So they put together an exhibit for that. It's becoming a great event.
Yeah, it'll be Sidney Crosby's 50th All-Star game or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's still doing it at the highest level possible. So he's the
I keep
man.
hearing people talk about the Penguins needing to rebuild. As long as Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are on the roster, you're not rebuilding anything. But
Not a
that's
chance.
okay. All right, Louie, you're clearly very excited about the NHL All-Star game. Let's switch it over to the recruiting side. What you got for us?
Well, they're making this event pop, big names, all that. Well, let's talk about it from recruiting. What can your company do to make your roles pop, make you stand out? And then obviously from the candidate side, what can you do to make yourself stand out? So, first and foremost from the client side, I mean, if your compensation is better than what you're seeing in the market, let that be known. I mean, let's face it, money talks. There's movies about it. It's a phrase, like it goes a long way. If you can display recent wins as a company, acquisitions, company growth, where you're seeing, talk up the points about your company that would get someone excited. I recently had a call with a client similar to Dan Campbell. I wanted to run through a wall for this client. Like I was like, I'm going to fill this role for you because I'm excited for folks to learn and feel your passion, your drive, and it gets caught up in it. It's awesome. It's a great feeling.
Let's talk about it from a physical posting standpoint. If you have a comprehensive website, careers page, talent network, whatever that may be, and you are taking the time to go through your job descriptions and your postings and really highlight those things that are going to separate you from your competitors, that's going to make your position pop. If someone goes through your job description on a LinkedIn posting and doesn't see anything about your benefits package, doesn't see anything about compensation, bonuses, team culture, whatever that may be, it's just lists what the job is, that doesn't really give you a great picture of what that is. And they're going to move on to another that might do that instead.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I've actually been commended on from candidates who actually don't align with the role from a compensation standpoint. Like they say, they really appreciate the transparency, like in getting all the info out front, letting them know this is the job, this is what it pays, this is the setup, and if it doesn't work, that's great. But to hear like the honesty and how sincere they are, that people are being honest with them, it seems like it's been a lot of the opposite in the market, people hiding things and all that. So whatever your company is doing well, that's your sales pitch for joining you. Let that be known, whether it's comp, whether it's company growth, all that good stuff.
And I think we have a special opportunity here since we work with so many different companies and roles that we're hiring for. Our job is to sell the candidates we're talking to on the position and the company that we're representing. It's one thing to have the job postings and you have your internal recruiting teams. If people aren't getting eyes on these descriptions, they don't really know what you're selling, you're not going to see the kind of results or the kind of people you really want. And if you really have such a rock star opportunity, it needs to come with a rock star sales pitch. And that's kind of what we can offer to our clients as far as Hirewell's concerned. Flipping it to the other side, we got to talk candidates while we're here. We sell our candidates on these sales pitches, then we turn around and we sell our clients in return the great candidates we've had a chance to work with, talk to, learn about, and kind of, again, I know we've used this topic a number of times, but paint that picture for them in terms of here's this person, here's what they've done, here's how they're going to fit into your organization. And we hype them up the way we hyped up the client to the candidate.
Yeah, and me coming from the sales side, I think, I'm not going to say it's easier, but numbers don't lie in a lot of senses. Like if goal is $1 million and you did 1.8, that needs to be on your resume. Like that's got to be front and foremost. I kicked ass this year. This is how well I did. This is the revenue I drove in. So sales, you can show numbers. Things like marketing, advertising, you got a portfolio. You can show that. Hype up what you're good at, where your passions lie, what you've succeeded in. And ultimately, it is really about a track record of success and talking that up and being able to prove that you actually did that.
It is no secret that companies are going to want to hire the person who has shown that they can do the job and do it well. Just like companies shouldn't just copy and paste the responsibilities of a job into a job description, you shouldn't just copy and paste the job description of what you've been working to into your resume and call it done. You got to show career advancement. You got to show projects you've worked on, various initiatives you've been involved with, things that you think are cool about the work you've done. Other companies will think they're cool as well, whether it's internal initiatives, project teams you've worked on or led, just cool stuff. Like it really boils down to cool stuff, and it boils down to impact. What impact have you made on your company? What impact have you made on your team? What impact have you made on your community? What impact have you made on your client? things that you can tangibly put on a resume, and without ever talking to the company, they can kind of get a feeling for who you are, what you've done, and what you'll do for them. They'll start to picture it in their head.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to mention, and we talked about it, is, I took on the title of CFO at my old company. No, not chief financial officer, but chief fun officer. I would plan our company happy hours. We did a field day. We did bowling. We did this. We did that. And I'm actually very proud of that. Stuff that it was not required in my job. I took that responsibility on, owned it, loved it. But I think if someone sees that on a resume or, on my CV, they're going to be like, yeah, well, this person clearly adds to the culture. He impacted that. He wants people to be, as a team and celebrate wins and all that. So you're so right. It does explain a little bit more about not only what you can do, but who you are as a person, and things can be deferred. I mean, we're looking at a piece of paper most of the time. If you can defer things, or, if you can take the assumptions out of it, or in this case, use them, what people are going to think, let that paint the right picture of you.
We keep talking so much about how culture is such a big part of a candidate's job search, and culture is such a big part about making the right hire from a company standpoint. I feel like the two kind of go away from each other sometimes, even though they should really be intersecting and really combining. So another shameless plug for us. That's kind of how we connect the dots. We bring that culture to life. We bring the candidate's piece to life. We bring the company to life in the job description. We do it on both sides, and I think we do it pretty damn well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say we're the best in the business, but in my opinion, we definitely are. We cater to our clients' needs. We cater to our candidates' needs, and we do a great job at kind of standing in the middle of both of them and making sure everyone walks away from the table feeling like they've won and that they're happy with the purchase, if you will. The client happy for the people we found. Most times it's going to end up in a placement, and hopefully from the candidate side, we were able to find them a career, a place that's going to afford and pay for their livelihood. And hopefully they're very happy with it. And we find that more times than not, everyone is satisfied.
At the end of the day, if it's a win for the candidate, a win for the company, and a win for us, we're doing our jobs properly.
Absolutely.
All right, 2-minute drill. Let's take it home, Louie. Super Bowl predictions, and you got any fun prop bets you enjoy from the Super Bowl?
I think yes, I do. So first off, we talked about it. Patrick Mahomes. I think, although the Niners on paper, their team is star-studded all over, Patty just knows how to win. Let's just call it what it is. And then my favorite Super Bowl prop, it's always the length of the national anthem. There's always those people who say they have someone that saw the practice run and timed it. And then, it's always a crapshoot. They might hold a note longer than they did before. I just think that's a fun one. And I always tend to throw a couple shekels on it.
I think in recent weeks, the 49ers have shown that they are not perfect. They can be knocked down a peg, but they've gotten back up. The comeback stories have been real for them in the last 2 games. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will give them the opportunity to come back if they're knocked down, though. And so I gotta say the Chiefs dynasty is inevitable. I think they're gonna take another one home. In that same vein, the prop bet that I've seen online, which is hilarious to me, and I think it was only in Canada, is whether or not Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. I would hammer the under on that one if I were anybody. I'm not even able to take that bet, but if so, I would say it's not going to happen. But man, Swifties have a lot of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, that one, you talk about the script of the NFL. If there was a script being actually written, that had to be in there. But that's a tough one. I don't know. I would hope for the under, so it doesn't take away from the Chiefs, because if that were to happen, if the Chiefs won and then he proposed, no one would give a flying crap about the actual Chiefs winning. It would all be about Travis and Taylor.
Yeah, so, you're right.
That's just my thought.
You're right. Well, on behalf of Louie and myself, thank you once again for tuning into the Hirewell Hot Corner. Please do join us again in 2 weeks for our next episode. And as always, stay classy, LinkedIn.